Imagine that you're a sailor on a vessel which is a Type T2 SE-A1 tanker known as the SS Pendleton. Your journey started in Louisiana, New Orleans, and your next port will be Boston. You're just south of Cape Cod when something disastrous is about to transpire. The winds start to whip across the vessel and the forces of the wind turn into a gale. You think that the ship will hold up in this weather, however, Mother Nature has a different thought on that. You hear the steel around you make a noise that it shouldn't, and before you know it, the SS Pendleton is split in two. You start to worry that all is lost at this point, and in the air, a Coast Guard PBY aircraft is searching for another vessel, the Fort Mercer, until it is diverted to look for yours. When the aircraft locates you, there's a big problem. You're not the only ship that is broken in two. Fort Mercer suffered the same fate as well. However, 4 brave Coast Guard men will face the wrath of Mother Nature to rescue as many sailors as they can. Today on Nautical Disney, we explore the true story of Disney's 2016 film, The Finest Hours. The date is the 18th of February at the Chatham Lifeboat Station. The time is around noon when the officer in charge of the station, Boston Clough, gave the order to BMC Donald Bangs to gather a crew and operate the CG 36383 MLB craft and assist the Fort Mercer. BM1 Weber stayed behind to assist in other duties on shore, which he stated, "My God, do they really think a lifeboat and its crew could actually make it out that far to the sea in this storm? And find the broken ship amid the blinding snow and raging seas with only a compass to guide them? If the crew of the lifeboat didn't freeze to death first, how would they be able to get the men off the storm-tossed sections of the broken tanker?" When BMC Bangs left with his crew for the attempted rescue of the Fort Mercer, BM1 Weber was ordered with another crew to assist fishermen with remooring the fishing boats, which had been moved by going nor'easter. Later, at around 2:55 p.m., at the Chatham Lighthouse Station, radar picked up 2 blips which appeared to be about 5.5 miles out from the shore. 5 minutes later, at 3 p.m., the officer in charge, Boston Clough, was able to visually sight the bow section of the Pendleton. At 4 p.m., that PBY that was mentioned earlier did confirm the position of the second stricken vessel. Boston Clough dispatched BM1 Weber to pick up a crew and take CG 36500. Knowing his fate, he said, "Yes sir, Mr. Clough, I'll get ready." Only 3 men were available since the others made themselves scarce. However, the 3 men did volunteer. 5:30 p.m., BM1 Weber and his crew readied the dory to row to CG 36500. Weber's neighbor, which was also a fisherman, yelled from the pier an eerie remark at him. Knowing full well that he may not make it back, Weber asked his neighbor to call his wife to let her know about the rescue attempt. 5:55 p.m. came, and Weber and his crew left in the 36-foot lifeboat, which had a single engine that made about 90 horsepower at best. He was able to see the light at the Chatham station and hope for a recall. However, no call was sent, and he got the message instead, "Proceed as directed." As the crew of the CG 36500 reached the Chatham bar, they sang a tune to keep spirits high. But soon after, the sound of the song was drowned by the lioness waves of the ocean. Crossing the bar, the boat was hit with mountainous waves, in which it was thrown in the air. Landing on its side, the boat did self-right, however it was hit again with another wave that broke the windshield and also flattened Weber. He got back on his feet where he noticed the compass was gone. Struggling against hurricane-like winds, he attempted to regain control. Sometimes the engine would also cut out, and one of the crew, who was an engineer, would have to go into the compartment to start the engine, which resulted in cuts and bruises, but the sound of a working engine. Meanwhile, on the Pendleton's stern, engineer Scheibert saw that the section that they were on was heading for ground on the Chatham bar, in which would turn into disaster. He had to use the engines to keep the tanker off the bar, but at a cost. However, the vessel would list further and the trim would increase. But when a radio called that the Coast Guard motorboat was on the way, the effort was stopped. Time would pass and engineer Scheibert and his crew would feel their demise closing in with each passing wave. There was a numerous amount of cutters and also CG 36383 close by, but their fate was in the hands of the crew of CG 36500 to save them from the Pendleton. The crew of CG 36500 finally passed the bar, which Weber knew due to the space of the waves caused by deeper water. Also, the height of the waves were larger too. The reported sea heights during the rescues were around 40 to 60 feet. The boat would continue in a roller coaster routine, knowing that the speed was not good due to the bow diving into the next wave and being swamped. Weber would use the reverse gear on the backside of the waves in order to slow down. The waypoint Weber was hoping for was near, which was Pollock Rip Lightship. In turn, this would help him reorient where he is and give his crew a break from the harsh conditions. Worsening conditions had arrived. Weber was struggling and fearful that he missed the lightship. He had a feeling that something was ahead. The CG 36500 was near a standstill when one of the crewmen went to turn on the searchlight. When he did, a wave came and picked the crewman up, threw him over Weber, but luckily landed in the back aft section of the boat uninjured. The boat slowly moved forward, which in the distance showed a mass of sheared and broken metal. Whenever this broken ship would move, the sounds of eerie noise were produced. Weber moved the small vessel to the aft along the port side, where the light of the CG 36500 revealed the name, Pendleton. After which a figure appeared waving off the deck. The deck lights came on, then the figure disappeared. However, he was replaced with a crowd of sailors, many which were yelling and shouting instructions. Without warning, a Jacob ladder was tossed over the side of the stricken vessel, and men started to climb down like a column of ants. The first sailor on the ladder was dropped into the water and was thrown around by the large waves. Weber sent his men forward to further assist the remaining crew. Weber skillfully moved the CG 36500 along the starboard quarter of the ship. The crew of the Pendleton would either jump on the small boat's bow or crash onto it. Some fell into the sea where Weber's crew would help them get back on board, with great risk of being lost themselves. Some of the Pendleton crew would be tossed around the ship on the Jacob ladder. After numerous approaches, 20 souls safely recovered. The CG 36500 was starting to become sluggish. Weber would not leave, however, and decided that they would all live or that they would all die. The Coast Guard grew, risking their lives and filling the little CG 36500 full of survivors, now had 32 sick souls and only one left. Myers, the last man on board the Pendleton, jumped too soon and was swept by the sea. Right after, he was also visible and clung to the 11-foot prop to the Pendleton. Weber drove as fast as he could to Myers. When he tried backing the engine hard, the CG 36500 ran into the Pendleton and Tiny Myers. Then the small boat ejected from beneath the Pendleton, after which the hull of the ship listed and sunk. The horizon was dark after the searchlight was off. Weber was sick to the thought of losing Myers. However, the other 36 souls on board was his responsibility. Weber radioed his superiors where he was told that a Coast Guard cutter would come and do a at-sea rendezvous and transfer the survivors a second time. This wasn't a good idea, Weber said, and he had an idea to find the nearest beach for refuge, which the crew positively agreed with. But in the distance, a red light appeared, and with a quick flash of the searchlight, it was the entrance to Chatham, Old Harbor, which meant safe water. Weber, his crew, and the 32 survivors arrived safely back at the base. The excitement was all around, knowing that they were safe and had survivors on board as well. Many people came from Chatham to help with securing lines and helping shocked, excited, and crying rescuers and survivors ashore. The photo on screen are the men who risked it all against all odds, and fought the true power and rage of the sea, to save these men from a terrible demise. From left to right are Coast Guardsman Bernard Weber, who piloted the rescue boat, Engine Man Second Class Andrew Fitzgerald, Seaman Richard Livesley, and Seaman Irvine Maskey. The film The Finest Hours gave a look at the risk these men take, and I would recommend watching it. This rescue was lesser known before this, and it shows the real duties and thoughts of men in the Coast Guard, and the ideology as well, because one of them did say, "We are not heroes, we're just doing our job." Hello everyone, and thank you again for watching this video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more that is coming up soon. If you like anything that's nautical and Disney as well, you'll definitely want to stay tuned.